All right, design compatibility is basically a ball's cumulative usability that affects everyone who touches it from the beginning to end of a ball's history. It starts with us here in the design intent at Storm, which translates later on to the pro shop professional's decision-making process and the layout for ultimately the bowler that they're drilling that ball for and how often they're going to bring that ball out of their bag. Now, balls that have the highest amounts of design compatibility are balls like the High Road, the IQ Tour, the Phase 2, because they're versatile, they're easy to use, and very importantly, they're easy to drill. So not all balls are created equal, and we think that the Axiom Pearl is going to be the next ball, especially for a pearlized ball, that falls into this high design compatibility category. Now there are many types of cores, but there's three main types of performance cores that exist. And you can probably name them before I even pull them up on the screen. First one is asymmetric. Next one is your traditional symmetric. And the last one is something called non-axisymmetric symmetrics, which actually fall into the symmetric category despite looking very asymmetric in nature. Now, I'm not going to get into the details about what each of these cores do, but I want to preface it by saying that the same layout is going to affect all three of these very differently, especially in something like one of these top shelf asymmetrics, because they naturally push the upper limit of bowling ball dynamics by what's currently allowable in today's standards. Now, you're going to get a higher contrast in layouts with a ball like this because it is naturally more dynamic as opposed to something more traditional like these two symmetrics. Now, because we're talking about the Axiom today, we're going to focus on this one in design compatibility. So what makes this easy to drill? What makes it user and driller friendly? We use that term quite a bit around here. And if you notice, this ball is essentially like a light bulb. It is the same all the way around. It's as symmetric visually as it is gravitationally. So even if you keep the pin in the same spot and you swing it one way or another, you're going to affect that weight block in pretty much the same way because you're putting the holes into the same amount of material, the same amount of mass all the way around like a light bulb. These make it very user-friendly, which is kind of important today because you can't correct a ball with a balance hole anymore. So you can't drill this wrong even if you tried, is what it amounts to. Now, when we get into something like this, one of these non-axisymmetrics, it's still symmetric. Mass-wise, it's perfectly balanced around the x-axis. It doesn't have a very high undrilled intermediate differential, but visually it looks very asymmetric. Now you can imagine as we turn this one all the way around, you can actually hit one of these knobs and it might not be the most user-friendly. It might not be the most driller-friendly either. So you have to be very cognizant of where you're placing your holes in something like this versus something like the Axiom and the orbital core. So the reason why we feel like the Axiom is one of the highest design compatible balls that we've made to date is because of the combination of how easy it is to drill that weight block, coupled with the fact that we have our earliest hooking material that we've put on a ball to date. So it becomes very benchmarky, becomes very versatile, and just smooth and forgiving overall for whoever's using it. All right, there's a few layers to a ball's overall design compatibility. First one being playability, or how often that ball is going to come in play for that style of bowler. Are they going to be able to use it on a variety of conditions? Long, short, flat, heavy, you name it. Lane condition, the lane surface actually plays a huge role too. Are they going to be able to use that ball on wood, synthetic, and all the different levels of synthetic material in between? So a ball's overall playability is something that we look at hugely here at Storm Products. The next kind of layer to a ball's design compatibility is maneuverability. Is that bowler able to play to their strengths, or does that ball play to the bowler's strengths rather? Are they able to change zones without changing balls? How long is that ball going to last in their hand for for a block? Are they going to be able to use it all day? Are they going to be able to only use it for a game? So there's a lot of factors that come into the maneuverability of a ball that kind of ties into the overall design compatibility for what we're trying to create. And the last kind of part that we look at here at Storm is versatility. How versatile is that ball going to be? Does it match up to a variety of styles? We look at stroker, we look at tweeners, we look at crankers in our testing, we look at high rev, low rev, we look at all sorts of axis tilts and rotation, left hand, right hand, we look at it all. So is that ball going to come into play for a variety of bowlers? And if it does, it has a high design compatibility, and that ball is going to last a very, very long time in line, which makes sense when you look at balls like the High Road and the IQ Tour, Phase 2, Pitch Black. Even the High Road Pearl has been in line for a long time because it has a very high level of design compatibility. So naturally, those types of balls have great longevity because once it's all said and done, with all these different styles of players, do they check off as many boxes as they can? And if the answer is yes, it's going to be a very user-friendly, driller-friendly type of piece.